And I have to admit, when I was scraping the snow and ice off my car, I was tempted to think, where's global warming now? I'd like a little of that, please. This is not what our winters should look like. So here we are, talking about what if, though? What if this global warming thing is real? What if, despite our hands freezing off and our toes feeling like they have to be amputated, what if this thing is really real? Well, if we look at what our temperatures look like recently, we see that, yes, it was really cold where we are. But if we look in other parts of the world, we see that it was really warm. In fact, Alaska was just as much warmer than average as we have been colder than average. So the lesson here is that it isn't just what we see in front of our own eyes that can tell us whether global warming is real. I want to tell you about a fun little experiment they did a couple of years ago. They took a group of people and divided them in half. Half of the people, you over here, got put in a room that was quite warm. The half of the people, you over here, were put in a room that was just a comfortable room temperature. And then the people were asked, is climate change real? What do you think happened? Yes, exactly what you think. The group in the warm room said, yes. There we go. The group in the warm room said, yes, climate change is real, global warming is real, I feel warm. The group in the cold room said, no, I actually feel like it isn't. That's how sensitive we are to our environment. Our physical experience informs our brain, sometimes in conscious ways and sometimes in unconscious ways. So when we look at this issue of global warming or climate change, we have to look globally. We can't just look in the place where we live. Not only that, but we have to look over sufficient periods of time. Weather is what we all know and we all remember. It's what happens in a single place at a single time. Weather is like a tree. Climate, on the other hand, is like a forest. Climate is the long-term average of weather over 20 to 30 years. So we're not talking about weather, we're talking about whether our climate is changing. And that means we have to look over multiple, not just years, but multiple decades. So if we look here, this is the temperature of the Earth starting in 1900. And we see that one year may be colder than the other, one year might be warmer than the other. But over the century, as we progress through time, our planet is getting warmer and warmer. That's what we see in the data around the world. When we look further into time, we see that not only that, but we're starting to break all kinds of records. Last year was, believe it or not, the warmest year on record. Even while it was slightly below average across the eastern US. But here's the thing, what's located in the eastern US? Most of our TV stations. And so people are saying, oh, it's freezing in Atlanta, oh, it's freezing in Chicago, and the rest of the world is like, oh, it's so hot. Come visit us. But then you might say, well, but I've heard these people talking about how, this global warming has stopped. And in fact, I even had people show me some data. I've had people show me some data looking at, say, for example, 2001 to 2011. And it's true, if you look at just those years, you can see, global warming, what global warming? Well, you might notice that this graph actually goes a little bit longer through time than just a 10-year period. And when you fill in the rest of the data, this is what you see. So be suspicious of anybody touting small little bits of data saying that it proves something. The one thing we know in science and in life in general is that we can't just throw out the data we don't like just because we don't like it. go to the doctor says you really need this, this procedure, and you say, well, I don't like it. No. You're allowed to do that, but it's not very wise. And in fact, like I said,